About politics. And Theresa May has told world leaders and corporate chiefs at Davos that Britain remains open for business, despite, of course, its decision to leave the European Union. I'm joined by the Conservative MP, Peter Lilly, former Trade Secretary and, of course, member of the Exiting the European Union Select Committee. Good morning to you. You're remarkably sanguine about Britain's trade prospects, despite the noises that we're hearing from Europe. Why so?
Why so? Well, I've got a vested interest more than anybody else in bigging up the importance of trade agreements because I'm the only member of Parliament who's ever negotiated one. But they're much less important than people think. Trade happens because one side's got a good or service that the other one wants to buy. Trade agreements can make it a bit easier or a bit more difficult, but they're a second-order issue. We, as a country, now have exporters who are 15% more competitive than they were a year ago because of the movement in the exchange rate. The average tariff we would face if the EU insists on there being no free trade deal and us trading on most favoured nation terms would be 4%. 4% versus 15%. Tell me which is more important.
There is, though, an added layer of complexity in all of this. Yes, of course, the European Union, like the United Kingdom, wants to get the best possible deal for itself. But also, they want to deter other member states from exiting the Union.
Yes, and clearly if they put economic interests first, the economic well-being of their people first, there'll be a free trade deal because it's in each side's interest. Not hugely important, but beneficial. But they may well put political interests first. They need to show people who might be tempted to follow us that it's not all that simple. And that's quite likely to happen. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But nonetheless, we'll be better off. We'll no longer have to pay £13 billion a year net. That's the figure in the Office of Budget Responsibility figures in the autumn if we remain in. And that's twice what we'd have to pay in tariffs.
Still, there are plenty of companies in the United Kingdom who are concerned. They see the single market as their biggest export market. Guy Verhofstadt this morning making it absolutely clear you're not going to have zero tariffs if you don't have the obligations of the single market. So we know that's not going to happen.
Well, hang on. You say we know that. They have 50 free trade agreements with countries who do not have free movement with them. They have 50 trade agreements with countries who do not pay a contribution. They have 50 trade agreements with countries who do not accept European law. So they're saying they will single us out for different treatment from the treatment they give 50 other countries.
You can understand why they might choose to do so.
I can understand it, but let's not pretend that it's automatic. It is what you might call a punishment beating if you were off message.
So those concerned voices that we hear, north and south of the border, I mean particularly in Scotland, have they just got it wrong then?
Yes. Look at Scotland in particular. There's an area where a free trade agreement could be beneficial. Whisky in India bears a 500% tariff. If we could negotiate that down, as we did in the case of South Korea, that's hugely important. The fishing industry coming back to Scotland, hugely beneficial. So Scotland can benefit greatly from us being an independent country making our way in the world.
But the issue of Brexit north of the border has become so politicised now that you have the First Minister suggesting that there will be a second independence referendum. Alex Salmond this morning suggesting it could happen as early as 2018. I mean, is gaining sovereignty back from the European Union worth the breakup of the Union?
No, and I'm part Scottish, so it would actually feel like having a limb wrenched from my body if Scotland and England were to be separated. I don't think they will. All the opinion polls show that the Scottish people don't want another referendum. They've had one about their own separation from Britain and one about Britain's independence from Europe. They chose that decisions like this should be made at a United Kingdom level, and so it is being made. Mrs Sturgeon's an astute politician. She's trying to manufacture grievances, but so far she's finding it an uphill struggle.
Peter Lilly, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.